How does one make a puppet costume? Making a puppet costume can be a fun and creative process that adds personality and flair to your puppet performances. Whether you are creating a costume for a new puppet or updating an existing one, there are several steps you can follow to make sure your puppet looks great and is comfortable to wear. In this article, we will discuss some tips and techniques for making a puppet costume. Gather your materials and supplies. The first step in making a puppet costume is to gather all the materials and supplies you will need. This can include fabrics, threads, buttons, zippers, elastic, stuffing, and any other decorative or functional elements you want to add to your puppet. Make sure you have all the materials on hand before you start, so you can work efficiently and avoid delays. Take accurate measurements next. You will need to take accurate measurements of your puppet to ensure that the costume fits properly. This includes measurements for the body, head, arms, legs, and any other parts of the puppet that will be covered by the costume. Use a measuring tape and record the measurements on paper, so you can refer to them as needed during the costume making process. Sketch out your design before you start cutting and sewing. It's a good idea to sketch out your design on paper. This can help you visualize the final product and make any necessary adjustments before you begin. Consider the colors, patterns, and textures you want to use, as well as any special features or accessories you want to include. Cut and sew the fabric. Once you have your design and measurements, it's time to start cutting and sewing the fabric. Use a sharp pair of fabric scissors to cut out the pieces of the costume, following your design and measurements. Be sure to leave extra room for seams and hems, and try to cut the fabric in as few pieces as possible to minimize the number of seams. Next, sew the fabric together using a sewing machine or by hand. Start with the largest pieces of fabric and work your way down to the smaller ones, adding any necessary details and decorations as you go. Be sure to sew the seams securely and finish the edges neatly, so the costume looks professional and lasts for many performances.